hear me through the. You can just show it. You can just show it. Of course, I'm super quiet. Ready? Sure. I bet. That's who wrote it. I told you someday I want to do it. Of course, it's got to be hot that time to get better.
All right. You hear me? Heard through you? Okay. So, good morning. As you can see on your news and notes, or your deal, Ben's supposed to be here, but he is not, so you get Michael again. So, that could be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on who you like. But y'all haven't heard Ben, so y'all don't even know if y'all like him or not yet. So. But he's a good guy. But he's like me, so he's got high schoolers. Well, like I used to be, I guess, because I don't have high schoolers anymore. But he's chasing 2 girls around, and so his schedule gets changed a lot. One of those deals where, oh, there's a tournament this weekend, we can go, and so then they get to go. And so that's the way it was with baseball too. It would be like, hey, it'd be cool to go to Dallas this weekend. All of a sudden on Monday you're signing up for Dallas and you're going to play baseball in Dallas. So anyway, I look forward to today, and hopefully we'll have a good time. So last week I finally did my first triathlon, for those that were worried about me, and I did survive. My wife said I did not look good coming out of the water. That was harder than I ever imagined. And luckily they allow you to hold on to the end of the deals until you get your breath back, or I would have died. They'd have had to pull me out. So anyway, I got that done. I was so slow. The way they put you in the water is in a line, and I go so slow. By the time I got in there, because I was scared I wasn't going to be able to swim very fast, so they put me at the very end with the slow people, which was good. And so I got out of the water and I'm dying. I'm barely walking. I can't breathe. I'm trying to get on my bike, and I hear the announcer go, "And our first bike rider is coming back." He was done with his bike ride. That dude was trying to beat an hour. He was trying to get the whole triathlon done in an hour. He ended up being an hour and 1 minute and some change, which would have killed me, because being 1 minute over, I'd have been like, what did I do? But I ended up at 1:57, so I was nowhere near him. But it was a good time. And he got.
How far is it?
So the swim was 300 meters, so it's 6 lengths of the pool, and the bike ride was 15 miles, and then the run was 5K. So, yeah. So I did the bike ride at 15 miles an hour, so it was a little ride at an hour, and then the run, I was actually surprised I did it in 40 minutes, which is, my fastest is 35, so I mean, after doing all that, I was still okay with the run, so anyway. But yeah, we got through it, and I got another one coming up on April 12th, so I guess I'm into this full bore. My midlife crisis, right? So my daughter-in-law is here, or my future daughter-in-law, I guess technically, and then my son and my wife. So y'all get to meet Kinsey today. So I'm excited about having her. Although she got a strike against her this morning, because we went over and ate breakfast at my house, and my mom's got this collage of all the pictures, and there was some wedding pictures of us, me and my wife. And she's looking at them, and I said, "Oh, so you're looking at our wedding pictures?" She goes, "Yeah, but you look young." I'm like, oh. Hence the reason why I'm doing the triathlon. But anyway, so today my lesson is going to be in Galatians, and I'm going to be kind of my EHD. I'm going to be all over. So I'll be honest with you, I'll be chasing rabbits. I know, but one of the things that the precipice of my lesson for classes is what is work supposed to look like? What I mean by that is, Caleb's playing baseball for NNU. Y'all kind of know that. And when I was in high school, we had this kid that had one arm. Like he lost it. He was born that way. And so when he pitched, of course he was a right hander, so he was arm was this arm. And he would throw, and the glove would be under his arm. And then he'd put his hand in his glove, and then he'd be ready to field the ball, and he'd put the glove back over here, and he'd pull the ball out, and then he'd throw the ball wherever he needed to throw it. And he actually played second base. But Caleb's got a kid that's on his team that is the exact opposite. So he was born without a right arm. He's a left-handed pitcher. And his brother actually pitched off and on, not like a frontline pitcher, but he actually pitches for the Toronto Blue Jays. And so he comes from a baseball family. And Caleb was telling me about him. He's like, his dad. So those of you that know a glove, you know how the webbing where you catch the glove ball is right up here. His dad actually went to a leathersmith and fastened a tube basically that has a ratchet type deal where he can, not Velcro, but I mean he can tighten it down, but it's just a circle, and he's laced it into the end of that glove. So when instead of having to put it under his arm, he just slides his nub into that end of the glove, and so the glove is backwards on this arm. So when he pitches, so he's left-handed, so when he sits here with the glove, hand in, it looks like he's got his glove on. It's pretty neat. It's like if you didn't know you're not paying attention to the kid, you wouldn't even really know that he's got one hand missing, because he puts that glove in there with the strap and then this, and then he pitches like normal, and then of course he puts his hand in the glove, and really truthfully, I didn't know he was even in the game. That's how bad it was, how unobserved I was this game. And they actually tried to bunt on him. So they laid down a bunt on this kid. And I thought, wow, that's kind of tacky. You know, he's one armed kid. Try to hit the ball or something. But anyway, lays down the bunt. He goes over there and fields it, throws the kid out, gets him by. Dude's not even halfway there. And I thought, that was preparation. I mean, that was his dad taking the time to look at the problem and think about it, and then figure out a way. But the kid still has to do all the work that he had to do. And sometimes I think we do the same thing because we want God to take our problem away. We want God to go, okay, I know you're suffering, so I'm just going to take. This dad can't take away the fact that he doesn't have an arm. In fact, he can't make him grow a hand. And the kid looks natural out there. I mean, even if you listen to the live stream, the announcer, you say he's a very good fielder. And nobody, I mean, I've seen one guy, and he's our lefty specialist. I mean, he comes in and gets lefties out and at a good clip. I mean, he really is pretty good. And he sits, high 80s, low 90s, and with a great slider and everything else. And sometimes I wonder, I look at myself and I'm thinking, how many times do I complain to God? I mean, we see, even back in the beginning, I look at Joseph, and you're sitting there going, Joseph had all the dreams about how he was going to have this rank and everything else. And he gets sold off to Egypt, right? And then he gets put in prison for no fault of his own. And to me, he's struggling, but does he ever stop working? Does he ever stop being godly? And sometimes I think that me get so tied up in what am I doing? As far as, when God puts us in a situation, I'm sitting there going, well, why am I here? Why? What does God want out of me here? And we see throughout it, you can go to David, and I'm sorry, I'm chasing rabbits like I told you I would. But we go to, David, and David's anointed king, remember? And then what happens? He goes right back and has the word for Saul, right? And then Saul tries to kill him twice, 3 times, 4 times, so much so that we know the story where David had to go, the only place he could run to that was safe was Gath. I mean, right after he had killed Goliath. And here David has to go to Gath, and of course he plays dumb, insane and has slobber, and even the king is like, why did you bring me this guy? Guy's mad. I mean, don't I got enough mad people in this town? Why do I got to deal with this dude? Type deal. I'm not going to be done with it type deal. And David hides in the caves for, scholars think, anywhere from 8 to 15 years. This is God's anointed. And sometimes I wonder, we read in the Psalms, sometimes David's like, why God? Well, my enemies are pursuing me day and night type deal, and I don't understand why you're allowing this to happen. And sometimes we sit there and we go, I think sometimes we get the same deal. It's like, why do I got to go through this? And look at this kid. He's happy the whole time he's out there pitching, and he's happy in the dugout, and it was something that I can't comprehend, right? I mean, I've got both hands. I take them for granted. I mean, watching this kid just humbles me every time. And seeing the God of the Bible. And I guess my question for today is how do we rationalize those two? How do we rationalize that God allows us to suffer for our own good in a lot of cases, right? Because it says that the struggles creates perseverance. Perseverance, we know the scriptures. How do we rationalize that? So let's go to Galatians chapter 6. And that's where we're going to spend most of the rest of the time going. We in verse 1 says, Brothers, if someone is caught in sin, you who are spiritual should restore him gently. But watch yourself, or you may also be tempted. Carry each other's burdens, and this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. If anyone thinks he is something when he is nothing, he deceives himself. Each one should test his own actions. Then he can take pride in himself without comparing himself to someone else, for each one should carry his own load. Anyone who receives instruction in the word must share all good things with his instructor. Let's back up. It says, if anyone is caught in sin, you who are spiritual should restore him gently, but watch yourself, or you should be tempted. Carry each other's burdens. So when we are struggling, and when we are thinking that, like even Joseph or David, we all know, we all got stories in our mind that are in the Bible. We're thinking that he should say this, type. We know the different stories, but how do we carry each other's burdens in those moments?
We think a lot more about how we would help somebody with a burden if they had something they needed to do, we did for them. But someone caught in a sin, that's a whole different burden. And how do you help that person carry that burden? That's a harder question,
How do we know people are struggling?
Well, I was wondering what some of the other translations might have to say here, but here it says that someone is caught in a sin. Caught in sin.
See, I struggled with that because to me that's that gotcha moment. But if we love our brother and sister enough, we should know them enough to be able to
see them head that way.
Well, but we know when they're acting kind of, we call it squirrely, or like, hey,
We've got to know each other. We've got to be in each other's lives.
we got to.
But this says, bear their burdens and fulfill the law of Christ, which cross references back to 5:14, which Jesus says the law is fulfilled in loving your neighbor as yourself. The only way you love them is get to know them. And when they're caught, how do you support them? How do you bear? You love them through their sin. You don't condemn them. You don't put them down. You try to encourage them. You try to get them back on track. Because the first time you tell them that they're wrong, condemn them, you lose them. You may tell them you're wrong, but you got to love them through it. That's hard.
So the Christian Chronicle, I don't know how many people still get that, had an article this month that was about that very thing about how to be Christian to our friends without turning them away. Basically, is the crux of it. And they had statistics that show that in this gotcha moment, in this bearing the burdens, how we have to do it, to where we actually take on some of that load, so that they can get back on their feet. You know, it's not a matter of, I mean, in my opinion, it's not a matter of love the sinner, not the sin type deal. And I get that piece, but we got to know our brethren. We got to know our brothers and sisters, and sometimes that's hard. I mean, and I get it. I mean, there's times, especially as long as me and my wife have been married, that I can look at her and I kind of know where, you know, and she can tell if I'm in a good mood or, you know, or what I'm thinking. You know, I mean, most times I can tell you within 3 restaurants where she wants to go eat. But that's because I know her. And then you get the people at church that you're sitting there, and if we only see them on Sunday and Wednesday, how do we know? How do we know, you know, how work's going, truly work's going? Because most of us, when we get out, how you doing? I'm doing good. And we sit down, right? Or we, how was your week? Oh, it was a good week. We, you know, worked and saw, you know, did this or that. But, you know, that's the gist of what we talk about. And this one is what I struggle with the most, because I get busy. And I think that we get so busy with what we are focused on. And I'll be honest with you, I struggle with this a little bit right now, because, I mean, I work out 2 hours a day just to get ready for a triathlon. And then I work more than you think. But I work, you know, 8 to 9 hours a day. And I mean, no comments. And so, and then, you know, I gotta watch TV, right? I mean, you gotta catch up on your TV. And so what other time does it? And I find myself going through cycles where I text a lot of people, and then I'll go weeks without texting them. And you know, we were talking, we have a couple that we go eat with. We used to go eat, you know, at least every other week, and we hadn't been out to eat with them in a month and a half. And most of it's my fault, because I mean, I'm either in Idaho watching Caleb play, or I'm going to a triathlon, or I'm doing. Now I'm the one that's doing all the running, and so if anyone thinks he is something when he is nothing, he deceives himself. Each one should test his own actions. Then he can take pride in himself without comparing himself to somebody else. For each one should carry his own load. Everyone who receives instruction in the world must share all good things with instruction. Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. The one who sows to please his sinful nature from his nature will reap destruction. The one who sows to please the Spirit from the Spirit will reap eternal life. Let us not become weary in doing good. For at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. So, we got a little bit of time. I guess it's scary how much our phones kind of know us, because they know our scroll habits, they know what we, and so I guess my phone thinks I'm really tired. And it probably does, because my watch tells me I'm really tired. Like, it told me I was tired for 3 days after the triathlon. And because everything that came up this week was rest, biblical rest. You know, like, it's biblically okay to rest. You know, I mean, and it started quoting the scriptures, you know, come to me all who are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. And it was quoting all those different scriptures, and how it's okay to rest. And it was like, okay, but what am I resting from? Because I'm resting because I'm an idiot. And I'm not resting from biblical stuff. I'm resting because I've oversaturated my life with too much to do, and now I'm feeling tired. And that's where this whole lesson got, because I'm sitting there thinking, why is my phone telling me I need to rest? And it's telling me I need to rest because my focus is not right. I mean, I got busy with life, and I haven't done, enough, in my opinion. And I know that's a loaded thing because we can't work our way to heaven. I get that piece. But at some point, we got to work to get to heaven, right? We got to do something. And what is it that we're doing? I mean, and I know I'm speaking to the choir here because you are here on spring break. But, what are we doing to encourage the ones that aren't here?
I also find it interesting, it talks about bearing another one's burden, but then it talks about you're going to reap what you sow, the sin is on you. So it's almost like that other person has to be willing. They have to want to change. Because, not that it contradicts itself, but it kind of does if you look at it as you're loving them through getting better, not because they're sinning, if that makes sense. So you can encourage people, but you really have no control. It has to be their choice to make that effort.
Absolutely right. And that goes back to the point I wanted to get across. I don't know how clear I was on that one, but, God doesn't take the problem away from us. Even Paul was saying, I prayed that God took the thorn on my side away. I prayed earnestly. I prayed continuously. And God says, my grace is sufficient. You've got enough. And I look at that, I keep going back to that kid. He's, as far as what I see that we should act like scripturally, he's a living embodiment almost to a point of it, because he took what God's given him and he's making the best out of it. He's pitching at college and doing a very good job. And with no limitations, sometimes we sit here and go, and I'm guilty of this, because I'm like, well, I wanted to be a song leader. God didn't let me be a song leader. He didn't give me the voice for it. He didn't give me the... So I'm just going to sit there and be a good church member. Or, this is as far as I'm going to go because this is my comfort zone. Or, even worse, and I'm saying stuff that I've said personally, so I'm not trying to bash, but, I said, I'm working really hard, and I deserve a trip. Or, you know what, it's Friday night, and I know they're having the whatever supper or whatever is going on. It'll be okay if I'm not there. When that's how I get to know people. That's how I get into their life, because I'm sitting across from them, breaking bread, I'm eating, and that's when we open up. I love the conversation that me and Dan have had when he comes and feeds me in Odessa, because we get to talk, and I get to know things. I get to know him. I know about his umpiring. I know about the leagues. I know about different things, and he knows things about me. Because we open up, and that's how we get to know people. That's how we get in their lives, and we sit there, and it become more than when we see each other the next time. It's more than just a, hey, how was your week? We can ask. That's why when I deal with a high schooler, I'll ask. And I try to learn. I've even tried to learn about cheerleading, which blows. But so that I can ask specific questions. I try to learn about soccer. because I want to ask. So what are you? Like when somebody says, I play volleyball, okay, what position do you play? Are you a striker? Are you a libero? You know, I know a few questions just because I want to get past that level of, okay, all we're doing here is saying, hey, I had a good day, I had a great week, school's okay, you know, I'm struggling in this class, and then move on down the road, because I want the person to feel that they were seen. And so I've got to ask another question. And I've had people tell me something like lacrosse. If you came and told me I play lacrosse, I'm gonna have to go Google lacrosse because I have no clue what to ask you. Besides, what's the deal with the different sticks? You got some that are really long and some that are really short. That's about the only thing I know about lacrosse. But as family, when somebody comes into our family that's doing something different, you know, I mean, we had one that got into powerlifting this past year. So, you know, every time I talk to him, I'm like, hey, so what's our squat today? You know, how much did we do? How much did our squat grow? You know, he'll tell me, I only did 325, 425, whatever the number was. I'm like, that's good, because at the start of the deal, you were only doing 350. And he's like, it wasn't enough. I wanted to be. I'm like, hey, but you still, because I knew something, you know, I know what they're, you know, I know what, I lost his train of thought. But there's one that runs a 400, and I know what his times are. And so I asked him, you know, hey, what's your run? Do you run 57? Do you run 58? He goes, I run 59. I'm like, that's still good. I said, what was wrong? Was it the wind blowing in your face? He goes, yeah. I'm like, okay, well, give yourself a break. It was wind aided on one half, and the other half, you were running dead into it. Come on. You know, type deal.
I think one of the things we also can kind of take from the scripture is in our Christian lives, you know, you're talking about we do a lot, and sometimes we get a little weary doing that work. But we've got family, and we can, in our Christian family, we can look at the folks around us and go, hey, this is something that I've been doing, and I think you might be interested in it. So invite our family to come along with us and walk that, do that work with us, and encourage them to mature and to also help them do that which is good.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times we find out that maybe someone didn't know how to do something, and if you walk with them and encourage them, then you're opening up their life to a new thing that they can do in Christ.
Absolutely. And you might find that they have a talent in it. I mean, because some people are natural encouragers. Some people are natural, you know, I mean, they're just, God puts us all together, and we each, and I don't think just because you don't have the talent, you shouldn't try. But at the same time, you can get, like he said, paired up with somebody that's really good at it. You can learn some, what like the teachers like to say, some systems, some processes that you can learn. You know, okay, so here's what I got to do to be an encourager. Even though it's not my cup of tea, you can learn from somebody that is a natural encourager and sit there and go, okay, and then you just, since you're not, you can set reminders, even your phone or on a calendar. You know, hey, I need to send 5 texts this week, you know, to 5 random members of, you know, or whatever. Or I need to make sure I send cards, or, you know, maybe you get in there and you help in a class, and you find out, you know what, I really like these kids, you know, and so then you start teaching the kids, or you help, you know, I mean, let us not become weary in doing good. For the proper time, we will reap the harvest. And I think that we sometimes just get bogged down in life. And I think that sometimes that's through our own, you know, trying to, you know, because up above it says, you know, if anyone thinks he is something when he is nothing, he deceives himself. Each one should test his own actions So we need to test to make sure that we're doing the stuff we're doing for the right reasons. Maybe, as Dave Ramsey talks about, we're trying to keep up with the Joneses. So we're working really hard so we can buy more stuff, so we can have the bigger house or the better car or the whatever. And we're neglecting God's house because we're working. We deceive ourselves because we sit there and think, well, I'm doing what Proverbs says. The sluggard should not eat, and type deal. And so Proverbs tells us we should work if we want to eat. And so I'm doing what Proverbs is telling me. We can spend it however we want to spend it. And the whole time we're neglecting God's church because we're not being sober about our own intentions. We're not testing our reasons and actions. And I'm not saying work is a bad thing. I work hard. But sometimes I have to sit there and take a step back because I start working so hard and I start taking on more than one or two jobs, and then like we talked about already, I've added the exercise in, and next thing you know, my wife's told me a couple times, I don't see you. Because when I walk in at 9:05 at night, I get me a drink, I take my vitamins, I go lay down, and I sleep by 9:45. And I've been guilty of going, yeah, you did. You saw me walk in, you talked to me, you said hi. That's not what she needed. She needed me. She needed my time. And that's what our fellow church members are screaming for too. And I know y'all do a great job as far as the Wednesday night meals, and I see the different functions. But are they well attended? Are we inviting our friends? Are we saying, hey, I missed you? That's what's happening to me right now, because everybody texting me, hey, we missed you. I've been gone for, this will be 4 straight weeks. I'm in church, don't get me wrong, but I'm not in one whole church. I've been there in 4 weeks. I tell Scott the whole time, I go, I'm going to need a visitor badge when I come back to your church. We laugh about it, but in my mind, it's not very funny, because I'm there Wednesday night, so but how many people see me on Wednesday night? The ones that are there, the select few that can show up on Wednesday night, especially with spring break. We probably had 15 people there Wednesday night. And the whole time, my phone, I keep going back to it, my phone keeps telling me, you're tired. And the whole time I'm sitting there, I've struggled with this week because I'm sitting there going, but I'm tired for the wrong reasons. Do you ever feel that way?
Maybe wrong reasons, maybe not, The Bible also says, whatever your hand finds to do as unto the Lord. So, you can be busy, maybe busy about things that wouldn't necessarily be, quote, church work, but in all of it, doing whatever you're doing is unto the Lord. And that's, basic behind things, that's okay.
And I agree with you. I've told myself that very deal. I will tell you that I feel better than I have in 20 years because the shape I'm in. 20 years ago I couldn't have done what I did last weekend because I would have died halfway through. I would have died in this pool for sure, but I would definitely, about the 4th hill I had to climb on that bike, I'd have been like the poor ladies that would get off their bike and walk up the hill and get back on their bike and start going again. That would have been me. So I tell myself I'm prolonging my life so I have more time with my family and everything else, but at the same time, there's got to be a balance.
I think too, we can wear ourselves out doing good. There's so many things that we can be busy at, and we've got to do the best that we can with what we have to where we spread ourselves too thin on doing good. And I'm talking to myself here. Just not saying that all these things are bad or are not as important, but I think that a lot of times, for me, I've got to focus on where can I do the most good. And if I just show up somewhere and I'm not helping out, like you said, because I'm too tired from running ragged, then am I being effective?
I am the least authority on all this because I can talk both sides of every argument I've been doing today. Because I would tell you that me showing up helped somebody being there, no matter if I'm tired or not. So showing up is very important. I would argue that showing up and being involved is very important. But if I got to do the two, at least show up. I mean, I would say that too. And so I guess the part I'm trying to get across is, I mean, we see countless times throughout the Bible. You know, Gideon, one of my favorite people in the whole Bible, truthfully, because sometimes he's me. Because I'm that person that has so lack of self-confidence in myself that I see myself in Gideon. Where if you remember when God first meets Gideon, y'all remember this story, right? Gideon's sitting there and Gabriel comes and talks to him. He's like, hey, God's picked you. And he goes, do what, me? Why me? Do you realize who I am? I mean, like, there's 12 tribes. Just so let me teach you God a little bit, okay? There's 12 tribes of Israel. Out of those 12 tribes, my little Benjamin is the least of the group. And on top of that, out of that group, my family is even the lowest of that. So you're picking the very bottom of the bottom. Are you sure? I'm not no warrior. What do you want me to do, God? What do you expect out of me? He said, you're going to be the people that lead my people back. I'm going to save Israel through you. And he's like, what? No. You don't realize who I am. And sometimes we go back and forth. They don't need me there because it's just me. What if me being there going to make a big difference? And so I can talk both sides. I mean, my piece though, I guess I got about 3 minutes. What got me really thinking and perplexed this week is because I was sitting there and yes, rest is biblical. We need to rest from when we're tired, and we need to go through seasons where we take a step back sometimes like that. But I think that those seasons need to be in the Word. We don't just need to sit down. Because sometimes when we sit down, we never get back up. But the question that I saw on Facebook that really got me concerned is, when I meet God, will I be well rested? Or will I be tired from working in His kingdom? Because I don't want to show up to the pearly gates well rested. Even though rest is biblical, I'm not saying it's not. But once we sit down, do we ever get back up? Do we ever examine ourselves and go, I need to get back up. I need to get moving forward. Thank y'all for your time.